Moving on to our top international story this hour now, though, we are monitoring efforts made by the international community to subvert U.S. sanctions recently imposed on Iran. This week, in a major blow to the European Union, the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, or SWIFT, announced it will comply with the new regulations. The decision came just days after U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin means the European Union will have a difficult time continuing trade with Iran, which could have an impact on the region's economy. According to the European Commission's website, trade with Iran has increased consistently over the last few years, thanks to the establishment of the Iran deal, with imports from the country increasing by 83.9% in 2017. Trump's withdrawal from the agreement jeopardizes that budding relationship. Speaking in Berlin this week, Germany's foreign minister emphasized Europe's commitment to maintaining business with Iran.
We
consider the step.
The Iran sanctions in question. We're joined now by producer Kay Pritzker. Kay, we were speaking as an In Question team and talking about the fact that SWIFT's been all over the news lately in lots of headlines, but people might not have an idea of what exactly this organization is. So can you just start by explaining what is SWIFT?
Yeah, so SWIFT is a private financial messaging service that's based in Belgium, and what that means is it facilitates. SWIFT is the one that takes the payment information or the destination that the money is going to, and makes sure that money reaches the right place in a secure fashion. And this replaced the telex system, which was basically SWIFT before SWIFT, and this system did the same thing, but it was much slower, and it didn't have a standardized universal code system like SWIFT does, so SWIFT was kind of an improvement on this outdated system.
SWIFT claims it's a neutral institution. Is that true?
No, so SWIFT definitely isn't neutral. Anyone can say that, but their actions have kind of shown the opposite. So starting off in 2006, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and LA Times released a series of articles in June that showed that the United States actually had a system called this Terrorist Finance Tracking Program. And this program allowed the CIA and the US Treasury to have backdoor access to SWIFT's database. So this gives them unprecedented access to, the world's financial transactions, who's sending what where, and this was done under the guise of stopping terrorism, which is the U.S.'s excuse for a lot of things, but this was obviously a violation of a lot of people's sovereignty, and it shows that SWIFT was willing to work with the CIA, with U.S. intelligence, as early as 2006, so that seems fairly unbiased. But up until this point, SWIFT had never banned anyone from their system, but that changed in 2012 when SWIFT banned Iran from their system. So as you can see, around 2012, Iran's nuclear program, their sovereign nuclear program, came into question, and a lot of people were calling for sanctions, and sanctions had been passed, but the Senate Banking Committee wanted to accelerate that process. So instead of sanctioning Iran further, they sanctioned SWIFT, and they wanted to force SWIFT to pull Iran from the system. SWIFT kind of hesitated to do this until March of 2012 when the European Union passed a bylaw stating that SWIFT had to do the same thing. SWIFT complied, and this really cut Iran off from a lot of its oil revenue, because they could no longer sell oil freely on the market because their payments wouldn't go through.
Purely because the United States said so.
Exactly. They just tapped them on the shoulder, pressured them with sanctions, and countries like Iran were devastated by that. It's the main reason why Iran came to the negotiating table on the Iran nuclear deal.
But Iran's not the only country the United States has pressured SWIFT to punish, right?
Yeah,
North Korea also?
North Korea, this was during a period when President Trump was really ratcheting up the war drums, saying, Rocket Man was condemning these nuclear tests and was threatening nuclear war. A part of that was telling SWIFT to remove North Korea from their system, and that also happened. SWIFT was threatened, and SWIFT removed North Korean banks from the system, and that's been a strategy to pressure North Korea, is to strangle it economically and cut it off from foreign capital.
So you've just broken down 3 different cases in which SWIFT went along with U.S. foreign policy, without sort of any independent acting here, but I want to move on to this final question because we don't have a lot of time left. Countries like Iran and Russia, as well as the EU, are saying, look, maybe it's time to look for an alternative to SWIFT. What alternatives are out there, and why would it assist these countries?
Yeah, so starting with Russia, there's SPFS, which is basically SWIFT, but it's controlled by Russia, which is a big deal. And this happened after 2014 when the UK was calling on SWIFT to remove Russia from the system because of what happened in Crimea. They said, Russia invaded Crimea, even though no one died there. And, this controversy didn't actually lead to them being de-SWIFted, but Russia was thinking forward and they said, further sanctions, future sanctions might remove us from SWIFT, so they created SPFS. Iran obviously was just de-SWIFted recently and has been in the past, and their foreign minister recently announced that they already have alternatives on the table. They're looking at alternative means to SWIFT. We don't know what they are yet, but they would be used to conduct trade with the EU as well as other countries, which have all, vocally said, we want to continue engaging with Iran, we want to continue trading.
Right.
And Iran has also explored digital currencies and cryptocurrencies similar to Venezuela, which just unveiled the petro. And that's a different strategy. SWIFT and things like that deal with hard currencies, but there's also digital currencies nowadays. And that would basically allow a country like Iran to make a payment digitally, to send money to someone's digital crypto wallet, for example. And you wouldn't need a SWIFT or an SPFS to do that. You just send it over the internet, basically. And then China is creating the China International Payment System, CIPS, which is another SWIFT alternative. And China is the second largest economy in the world. This would be a huge blow to the United States if they created the system. It could be used by most of the world given the size of China's economy. And it would really thrust the yuan forward in the competition to become the global reserve currency. It would definitely make the yuan a much more popular currency along with the US dollar and the euro.
All right. Well, it only seems to be a matter of time, considering even U.S. allies in Europe are looking for an alternative to SWIFT due to U.S. sanctions. In question, producer Kay Pritzker, thanks so much for coming on once again and breaking it all down.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.